Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another segment of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with JDash, Big Easy, and JK47 tonight. We're going to talk a little AL shortstops. Dash, a lot of hard work on your part again this week, or did you just copy and paste everything?
You're dead wrong. I don't look at anything. I know all these stats by heart.
You're like Rain Man. It's just in your head.
Please believe. But we're going to do AL shortstops, like you said. We're going to go from 15 to 1. We're going to start with the Detroit Tigers' Jose Iglesias. He's 25 years old this year.
Is he related to Enrique Iglesias?
I highly doubt it.
Did you know I was going to ask you that question?
Well, I should have figured you would ask something like that, yeah. But listen, he didn't even play last year because he had stress fractures in both of his legs. So he missed the entire season. But if you go back and look at 2013, he played 63 games with the Red Sox. He hit .330, had a .376 on-base percentage. He doesn't do much in the power or speed category, but that's nice. But then he got traded over to the Tigers, and his average fell off. He hit just .259. So we're really going to have to see what he does this season.
Detroit's stuck because they got so much talent at every other place right now that they can't really afford to have a top-notch shortstop.
That's tough. Stress fractures in both legs, and then to come back and try to play the shortstop position.
Yeah, and they're thinking this injury might be popping up throughout his career, and it just might end his career early.
Move him to first base.
Yeah, he can't hit that great, though. If he doesn't have his average, if he hits .330, it's possible, but if he hits closer to that .259 average that he did with the Tigers back in 2013, you're not going to want this guy playing first base.
He's definitely not a big power guy.
No. But he's pretty good defensively. He had 3 errors in 71 games as shortstop between Boston and Detroit in 2013. The D-WAR isn't that high, but, 3 errors in 71 games, that's pretty low.
He's a really good defensive shortstop, no question about it.
If he can stay healthy, anyways.
I mean, he showed that he can hit somewhat in his career, so, we'll have to see.
All right, let's move on to number 14.
Brad Miller and Chris Taylor, both from the Seattle.
Yeah, they're going to battle this spring to see who gets the starting shortstop job. It's looking like it's going to be Brad Miller, but Chris Taylor could take the job with a good spring.
Mariners, they're on the rise, aren't they, Jeff? Got
Definitely.
A familiar coach out there.
Yeah, good old Lloyd McClendon, huh?
Yeah.
He the one that stole a base?
Yeah, he stole a base.
Well, these are both young guys. Brad Miller is 25, and Chris Taylor is going to be turning 25 during the season. Miller, he hit just .221 last season, had a .288 on-base percentage. That's pretty terrible. 10 home runs is pretty nice in 367 at-bats, though. His K rate actually went up, though. It was better his rookie season in 2013, and so was his average. He hit .265 and K just 52 times in 306 at-bats. So if he can get back to how he was playing in 2013, I think he can be a pretty decent shortstop.
Well, he definitely has some pop in his bat, as those 10 home runs suggest. You turn that 221 average into, say, 260, 270, you're looking at potentially a 25 home run guy, at least 80 some RBI.
Yeah, now Chris Taylor, he made his MLB debut last season. He hit .287 with a .347 on base percentage, which is very nice. Just 136 at bats, though, so it was a small sample. But he doesn't have much power. He has a little bit of speed, though. Neither one of these guys play great defense, though. Look, 18 errors from Brad Miller in 107 games and 7 errors from Taylor in 47 games.
Oh, they both strike out a lot, too.
Yeah, well, Brad Miller wasn't that bad in 2013, like I was saying, but when you look at him last season, it went way up. So he got to figure out a way to fix that if he wants to keep this starting role.
You look at Chris Taylor, though, for the limited pop he has, though, the 39 strikeouts and 136 at-bats has to kind of concern you a little bit.
It does. If he can keep his average up around 287 with that 347 on base percentage, it won't be bad. But when you look at those 39 Ks and 136 at-bats, you say that it's really not possible.
Well, you sustain that over 500 at-bats, you're looking at 200 strikeouts. It's a ton of strikeouts.
Hey, Pedro strikes out 200 times, and you guys love him.
If Chris Taylor can hit 35 home runs, it wouldn't be so bad. All right, let's move on to number 13. The New York Yankees, Didi Gregorious. He is 25 years old. He hit .226 with the D-backs last season, a .290 on-base percentage, 6 home runs, 3 stolen bases, 27 RBI, 35 runs. His walk rate isn't terrible. His K rate isn't terrible. He just got to pick his average up, really.
Well, he's a guy that could definitely flourish with more at-bats, and given that he's going to be the shortstop in New York now, with Derek Jeter gone.
It's kind of big shoes to fill.
Yeah, he's never really played a full season. This will be the first time in New York he might see 500 at-bats, and like you said, playing in New York can help a lot.
It's like blasphemy to see anybody's name at Yankee shortstop other than Jeter.
It is.
I know he had to retire, and it's not like Gregorious,
He's definitely not going to be their captain.
Who, Didi?
Yeah.
Not with a name like that.
I heard the first thing he did when he got to New York was start his own men's clothing line called Gregorious.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on to number 12.
All right, number 12 we got for the Oakland A's, Marcus Semien, 24 years old. Last year he had .234 with a .300 on-base percentage. He Ks a lot.
Yeah, he does K a lot. In the minors, he had a very nice walk rate, and he showed a power and speed combo that people like. And playing shortstop, that's something you really want. But like you said, for the White Sox last season, just that .234 average, he really needs to pick that up.
Definitely. .234 just isn't going to cut it, especially in Oakland. They definitely went with some roster changes in the offseason.
Yeah, they got rid of Jed Lowrie.
So, he's definitely going to be needed to pick up the slack, and for a team that solely needs its players to perform to be able to compete.
When I look at this guy's numbers in the minors, he that walk rate, I love it, and the power speed combo, like we were saying, it looks very good. I'm looking at this guy as a sleeper in fantasy terms, but I wouldn't expect too much out of him. I think people have him a little bit too high.
Yeah, he's only got 6 career games played at shortstop.
Yeah, and he's not the greatest defender either. He had 14 errors in 62 games on the field last season.
Oakland, they just hope for the best. They run the numbers, don't they?
Yeah, they made so many moves this offseason, and I disagree with a lot of what they did over the past
year and a half.
Yeah. And this move, I'm not so mad about, getting rid of Jed Lowrie and bringing in Marcus Semien. It's not that big of a deal, but at third base, I'm not happy, and really all around the field in their pitching rotation.
Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, man, they know what they're doing.
Number 11, Danny Santana of the Minnesota Twins. He's just 24 years old. Yeah. He had a very nice season last year. Hit .319 with a .353 on base.
This guy could be a real sleeper out there. Showed a little bit of pop in his bat. The guy gets on base, with an improved Minnesota team. Who knows?
The one thing that scares me, in 405 at-bats, the 98 Ks, it isn't horrible. You'd like him to improve on that a little bit, and he's still young. He can. That was his rookie season last year. But the 19 walks is very low, too. So the combination of those two tells me that he's going to be closer to a .260 hitter, maybe.
Well, the guy will definitely get you some stolen bases. The 20 last year, not too bad. Scored 70 runs on an offensive depleted Minnesota team.
And one other thing about him is they're going to have to see how he plays at shortstop. He played there 34 games last season, but he played mostly outfield. Number 10.
Jose Ramirez for the Cleveland Indians. Numbers really weren't that good last year.
Yeah, but you got to look. He's just 22 years old. The .262, it isn't terrible. You'd like to see him pick up that .300 on-base percentage a little bit. He doesn't have much pop, and he never will. He does have speed, though. 10 stolen bases and just 237 at-bats. I like this guy in the minors. He hit .306. He had 12 homers and 86 stolen bases in 1,209 at-bats. Just 114 Ks and 96 walks. I think this guy can be a pretty decent hitter.
He definitely has a lot of potential, with a nice on-base.
Everybody who plays for Cleveland's awesome.
And he's decent on the field, too. Just 4 errors in 56 games at shortstop last season. A 1.1 defensive WAR. That's pretty nice. The one thing is, though, they have one of the top prospects in the game in Francisco Lindor, and he probably will be ready at some point this season. So unless Jose Ramirez kills the ball, Lindor's going to take over the shortstop position eventually. But if Ramirez does hit and Chisenhall doesn't hit at third, he could also move to third when that happens. Now, Francisco Lindor, he's just 21. Like I said, he's a top 5 prospect on most people's list. He's going to start in AAA this year. He's projected as an elite fielder, and he's supposed to be an above-average hitter. He has good speed. He's grown into a little bit more power. I really like this guy. I'm actually sitting him on my bench in fantasy, my dynasty league.
Another
Sleeper.
team, yeah, another sleeper, but another position where if the number one guy don't play, or if he's not producing,
right,
there's someone right on his heels.
Please believe. All right, number 9, Jed Lowrie. He is going to be turning 31 in April. He's going to be playing with Houston this season. Like we said when we were talking about Semien, he played for the A's last year. He hit just .249, had a .321 on-base percentage, not that great. 6 home runs, 50 RBIs, 59 runs in 502 at-bats. The 51 walks is nice. The 79 Ks is very nice. But really, this guy, he hit 16 home runs in 2012, and he's never really lived up to that power.
No, definitely not. I mean, the 6 home runs definitely has to be disappointing, especially if you had this guy in your fantasy lineup last year.
Please
6
believe.
home runs blows.
For 502 at-bats, absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who's supposed to supply power from the position.
Not a ton of power.
Not a ton,
teens,
but sufficient.
mid-teens. Now on the field, 13 errors in 130 games. He's never been an outstanding defender. He's never been terrible either, though.
If you're a major leaguer, you got to be able to at least hit 10 home runs. I had a dream the other night where I was hitting home runs with a wooden bat. You know, when I'm hitting home runs, anybody can do it.
There's not even enough people in baseball for everyone to hit at least 10 home runs, though.
I'm saying you should be able to. I'm not saying everybody's going to do it each year. I know that the numbers and the at-bats and everything aren't there, but if you are a major league talent, if you have the playing time, you should be able to at least hit 10 home runs in a season.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of player you are. I don't think Billy Hamilton's going to hit you 10 jacks in a season.
Why not? Why not, Jeff?
Well, some guys just don't do it. You look at Ben Revere, he can do everything. His arm's kind of weak, but he's never, ever going to hit 10 home runs, I'll tell you that.
The guy's going to struggle
I mean,
to hit
you
2.
have more power than him, easy.
The funny thing is,
Easy as power of the beer.
I think he's been like out homered by pitchers like something like 20-2 since he's actually debuted in the league.
I seen Fernando Valenzuela hit a pitch right over the right field wall at Three Rivers Stadium with my dad one time when his batting average for the season was 0. We left.
All right, let's move on to number 8.
Familiar name you guys might know is Asdrubal Cabrera.
That does not sound familiar to me.
He's a solid major leaguer. Jeff, you know Asdrubal.
Oh,
Yeah.
he played for Cleveland, man.
I mean,
the way Easy said it is this is like John Smith from down the block that
No, well,
everybody knows.
No, this is one of the
he's
one
put
of
in
the
work.
bigger name shortstops.
Yeah, he's put in work.
he's definitely a guy that's put in work easy. I mean, and going to Tampa Bay might help him out, getting out of Cleveland a little bit. He's said that his work ethic and he might have wore out as well.
Well, don't forget last season he actually went to Washington for a little bit after Cleveland.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is retooling, aren't they? They were good last couple years, and then now they kind of dropped, taking a little bit of a step back the last season or two.
Yeah,
still got
last season it was a little off, but they had a bad start and they never overcome that.
They still got a lot of good young talent down there, a lot of formidable young pitching. But, I mean, getting back to Cabrera, I mean, here's a guy who's been pretty much in a free fall with his stats dwindling from his career season with the Indians back in 2011. 25 home runs, 92 RBI. I mean, that's definitely top 3 material right there whenever you're producing those numbers. However, I mean, you look at that and you look at what he did last year with the 241, 14, 61 RBI line. 3 straight years of declining numbers from him. So I mean,
right, but I mean, look at those 4 straight seasons though of 14 plus home runs. That's not bad.
Well, I mean, you look at
For a
Cabrera. I
shortstop.
mean, you're definitely going to get between 14 to 20 home runs. It's just a matter of him producing,
Seeing the ball.
seeing the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the one thing about him, he's not that great on the field. 14 errors in 93 games, minus 1.2 defensive WAR. He's usually a little bit better than that, but you'd like to see an improvement over last season.
Yeah, but with pitchers down there in Tampa, people like Cobb, with that changeup of his getting ground balls, I mean, that could be a problem down there in Tampa Bay. That's a team that relies pretty much on pitching and defense and
Right.
timely hitting. That could end up hurting them in the long run.
All right, let's move on to number 7. This is more projection than anything. Xander Bogaerts. He's just 22 years old. Boston's starting shortstop. He had a big minor league career. He hit .296 with a .373 on base, 54 jacks, 235 RBIs, and 220 runs in 1,424 at-bats. This guy's supposed to be closer to a .300 hitter than he showed so far in the bigs.
Well, he's definitely a little bit slow to start off his career. I mean, definitely one of the top prospects coming into last season.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seeing maybe a little bit of a disappointment. But, I mean, the guy's still young, 22 years old. So, I mean, he has definitely has plenty of time to figure it out anyway.
Oh, yeah. That's why I have him here at 7. I still really like him.
Yeah, and it was just a down year for Boston overall. I mean, they win the World Series, and then they finish, close to last, if not last, I think. So the atmosphere in the clubhouse is going to be different this year. He's going to be able to get off to a fresh start, and I like this guy a lot.
I think Boston's going to have a great season this year.
Yeah, like we were saying, it was just his rookie season. You got to remember, he came up as a shortstop, but they needed him at third base for a little bit last year. So he was actually trying to learn a new position and learn big league pitching at the same time, and that's tough on a young player. But he really didn't do great on the field either. 10 errors in 99 games at shortstop and 10 errors in 44 games at third base.
The strikeout rate was a little bit high also. I mean,
K rate.
Yeah, that's what he needs to fix if he's going to become a better hitter. Because he already showed the power's there. 12 home runs, he's going to grow on that. He's just 22. As he gets older, by the time he's 26, he should be up over the 25 mark maybe. Possibly.
I mean, the base on ball rate isn't exactly high either, so, I mean, you'd like to see him exercise a little bit more plate discipline.
Yeah, it was a little higher in the minors. You should expect that to go up as he gets older, too.
Next up, Alcides Escobar, Kansas City. 285, 3 home runs, 50 RBI last year. A solid player. Had JDash.
Yeah, he had 74 runs, too. He's more of a speed guy. He had 31 stolen bases. And he was also a Gold Glove candidate. This guy is pretty much, he's going to be a fixture in Kansas City's lineup. He played 155 games or more in each of the last 4 seasons, so he's going to be there. His average goes up and down from season to season, but he's always there. He plays good defense, and he can score some runs for you.
He has a little bit of speed also, 31 stolen bases, playing small ball up there in Kansas City.
Yeah, he has 114 stolen bases over his last 4 seasons, so he definitely gets it done with his legs. But like I said, if you look at the average, in 2010 he hit 235, in 2011 254, 2012 293, and that's when he peaked, and he went down to 234 in 2013, came back up to 285 in 2014. So we'll have to see if he can be consistent this year and keep his 285 average, or if it drops down closer to his career numbers, which is 263.
Definitely a staple on defense. He has great range, has
Yeah.
a good arm, turns those makes doubles up real quick with, makes it look easy.
It'd be nice to see that 23 walks improve also, get that on base percentage up a little bit more.
Yeah, the one thing, he's 28 now, so you're probably not going to see much more growth in that area. It's pretty much the player he's going to be. He could show a little bit of improvement still. The 83 Ks is real nice.
Top 5.
All right, number 5, Erick Aybar. He's 31 years old. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He hit 278 last season with a 321 on-base percentage, a little bit of pop, 7 jacks. 68 RBIs and 77 runs is pretty nice, though. And he has a little bit of speed still, 16 stolen bases. That average pretty much stayed with his career numbers, so he's still hitting like he always has been.
Well, I mean, he has a little bit of pop, half-decent speed. The guy will score runs for you. Has a nice strikeout rate.
Yeah,
K
definitely.
rate.
It's an elite strikeout rate.
Actually, it is.
EK rate.
62 and 589. That's actually pretty much the best we've actually been through so far.
And he's a very consistent player. He hit 271 or better in 6 of his last 7 seasons. So you know what you're going to get from him. Always getting double-digit stolen bases. His defense isn't terrible. 10 errors in 155 games is real nice.
I think in a solid season, too, you can expect a dozen home runs from him. So, 68 RBIs isn't bad either. Most of the time you'll pretty much take that from your shortstops.
He's a veteran in that locker room. He's a leader. He leads by example.
Unlike Josh Hamilton.
Like Josh Hamilton. And Angels have something to prove this year. Last year they had a great year. They went in the first round of the playoffs, got busted out. I mean, you want to come back. You want to come back strong. I think Aybar is key to that infield making it happen.
Hamilton led by example. He showed everybody how to roll up $20 bills and blow huge gaggers of Coke.
Johnny Manziel figured it out.
He taught the whole team.
All right, number 4, Elvis Andrus. He'll be turning 27 during the season, still playing for the Texas Rangers. He had a little bit of a down year last year. He hit just .263 with a .314 on base. He never had any pop. He's not going to have many RBIs. He had 41. The runs are going to be there. He had 72 last season. He always has speed, 27 stolen bases, a pretty good K rate, below average walk rate, nothing out of the normal there.
Well, I mean, this is a guy whose value fluctuates with the rest of his team. You know, everybody in Texas had pretty much a down season last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything's bigger in Texas, Jeff. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, Andrus' normal line pretty much is around the high 280s, maybe 290 marks, you know, with giving you at least 40 to 45 stolen bases. And he gets better hitters behind him, you know, them 72 runs all of a sudden become 80, 90, 100, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And he's been a guy that's been able to stay on the field. He's played in more than 145 games every year of his career and more than 156 in each of the last 3. The one thing surprising to me, though, is not only did he have a down year with a bat a little bit, he also had a down year on the field, too. 18 errors in 153 games. His defensive WAR was negative 0.4.
That's brutal.
While the season before, he had Gold Glove candidate numbers, a 2.1 defensive WAR.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to pick it up on both sides. But I still like him. He's still young. I think that was just a down season for him. Usually around 26, 27, or 28 is when you have your biggest seasons. I still see his biggest season ahead of him. Number 3,
we have J.J. Hardy. I'm going to crack one for him. He's the Gold Glove winner from the Baltimore Orioles. Man, his fielding was just on point. Only 13 errors in 141 games, 2.1 defensive WAR, 2.0 or higher in each of his last 3 seasons. I mean, defensively, that's why he got that Gold Glove. He gets it done, and it's a straight whiteout in Baltimore.
Well, the thing is with J.J. Hardy, too, is, I mean, it's not only his glove that makes the headlines. The guy hits home runs. I mean, obviously down from his previous totals were his 9 home runs last year. I mean, but here's a guy who hit 30 in 2011, 22 in 2012, and 25 in 2013. You know, so, I mean...
That was all with Baltimore, too. So it's just 1 year removed from being a huge power hitter and a great defender. If he can get back on track from his numbers the previous years, no, you're not going to expect him to hit better than 260, 270. But if it doesn't matter if you hit all those home runs and play great defense at one of the most important positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he doesn't strike out at too much. His walk rate's a little bit lower than what you'd like.
That's what he is.
You're pretty much going to take that whenever you have him 22, 25, you know, and 30 home run seasons.
And I don't think he's too old yet. I think he still has a couple good seasons left.
He's right there in his career. He's in his prime.
He's definitely a guy that gets solid major leaguer status.
Another guy that is 33 years old is my number 2 guy, Alexei Ramirez. He was a Gold Glove candidate, still playing for Chicago, hit 273 last year. His on-base percentage has never been real high, just 305 last year. He always has a solid power, 15 home runs, 74 RBIs, and 82 runs is very nice. He has speed too, so he's pretty much a 5-tool player still.
Definitely.
What are the 5 tools, Jeff?
Speed, power, contact, arm strength, and glove.
Boom.
But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a guy that gets it done. Gold Glove candidate. Decent average, decent pop, drives in runners, steals bases. I mean, this is a guy that, like you said, does it all. And an up-and-coming Chicago White Sox team.
That's what I was going to say. What about Chicago in that division this year? They're relying on Ramirez to bring some production in, aren't they?
That's Jose Abreu's team now.
Yeah.
He's basically the new Big Hurt.
I like Adam Eaton out there, too.
Yeah, Adam Eaton's going to get on base. He's, you know, get on base for Ramirez, and he's going to drive you in.
So on and whatnot. His fielding, not too terrible last year. 15 errors in 158 games. His defensive WAR was 0.7, but that was actually the lowest since his rookie season. So I think he'll actually be a little bit better this season.
Just a solid veteran.
Yep.
He's going to get it done, and I think you have him ranked number 2, partly because of his fantasy numbers. I don't know.
Would you rather have J.J. Hardy there, Elvis Andrus?
It's questionable.
Or are you saying he should be number 1?
No, I'm saying 2, 3, 4, 5. Them guys there, I mean,
All solid vets.
all solid veterans. I mean, you could have jumbled those in any number.
Yeah, please feel free to put your comments in the box below. All right, let's move on to another seasoned vet here. Number 1, Jose Reyes. Obviously, the number 1 shortstop, has been in the American League for a while now. He'll be turning 32 this season. 287 last year, 328 on base percentage, 9 home runs. Still has a little bit of pop in him. Always scores a bunch of runs. 94 last season. Still 51 RBIs. That's pretty good out of a guy who hits at the top of your lineup too. And the 30 stolen bases. His speed really still there.
Definitely. I mean, the question is with him is staying healthy. Last year, he showed that he could be healthy again. 610 at bats. I mean, not a bad K rate either. The guy doesn't strike out.
And like I was saying about how his speed hasn't disappeared yet, any season he's played 100 games, he had 30 or more stolen bases. This guy is all over the base paths.
His defense has suffered a little bit, though. 19 in 142 games, minus .8 defensive WAR. So, I mean, I think his best glove days are definitely behind him as far as, as he'll start to lose range.
Honestly, his best hitting days are behind him, too, but it doesn't really matter. He's still a great hitter.
Oh,
Toronto's booming this year.
Yeah, they got one of the best third basemen,
catcher,
one of the best catchers, one of the best shortstops. They still got Jose Bautista out there, Edwin Encarnacion. They're looking good.
Looking real good.
They got a nice young prospect second baseman coming up.
Some nice pitchers coming up, plus some nice pitchers in their
Dudes
rotation
living in vans and stuff.
Believe it.
Not bad. Break it down.
All right. Real quick, number 15 was Jose Iglesias. Number 14, Brad Miller or Chris Taylor, whoever wins the job in Seattle. 13, new Yankee captain Didi Gregorious. Number 12, my fantasy sleeper Marcus Semien. Number 11, a guy who I think might have a down year, Danny Santana. Number 10, another guy I think is a fantasy sleeper, Jose Ramirez. Number 9, a guy that came over from the A's, now playing with Houston, Jed Lowrie.
3-year deal with Houston.
Number 8, we have a seasoned vet, Asdrubal Cabrera. Number 7, a guy who needs to break out this season for Boston, Xander Bogaerts.
He will.
Number 6, always a Gold Glove candidate, a great player on the field, always in the game, Alcides Escobar. Number 5, another seasoned vet, Erick Aybar.
Big time.
Number 4, a guy ready for a bounce back year, Elvis Andrus. Number 3, a guy who had a down year and could bounce back, J.J. Hardy. Number 2, a guy with power and speed, Alexei Ramirez. And number 1, a guy who is always at the top of this list, a seasoned vet, always going to come out and hit well, Jose Reyes.
Well, for those of you who forgot I was here, I'm still here.
I think I seen you sleeping over there.
Oh, just taking a quick cat nap, that's all.
It's all that amoxicillin.
Believe it. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in studio. Thank you, fans, for listening. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me personally at betjimtowin. You can follow Big Easy at, Steel Digital Easy?
Yeah.
All right, and like us on YouTube.
And that's STEEL Digital.
Yeah, not Steel like he's a thief. He's too fat to be a thief. Everybody would see him.
From Pittsburgh. It's Steel City, baby.
Peace.